Hey my Limeys, my name is Stephanie Spicer and I'm a Limey too. I'm not a doctor or a scientist, I'm just a regular person sharing what I've learned. Thanks for joining in. I'd like to talk a little today about Lyme disease ecology. Let's take a look at some of the principal actors in the drama of this disease. Before we start, I'd like to say that this video will deal primarily with the ecology of the United States, because that's where I and most of my viewers and most of the research I've looked at come from. The ecology may be different where you are, but I hope this video will inspire you to investigate the way things are there. Borrelia burgdorferi. Borrelia burgdorferi and other Borrelias are the spirochete bacteria that cause Lyme disease. Ticks. Lyme disease is spread from one animal to another by ticks. During the various stages of a tick's life cycle, it will feed on different animals including mice, birds, squirrels, dogs, deer, humans, moose, and others. At any point during this process, it can pick up Lyme and other pathogens from one animal and pass them on to the next one. Mice. The white-footed mouse serves as one of the main tick hosts during the tick's larval stage and is one of the primary reasons for the spread and continued existence of Lyme disease. Interestingly though, the white-footed mouse seems to be resistant to the effects of the disease, with infected animals showing no difference from uninfected ones in weight, activity, immune cells, organ damage, or overall health. Lab mice, in comparison, typically develop arthritis, carditis, and joint inflammation when infected with Lyme disease bacteria. White-footed mice typically become infected during spring and summer, and particularly in summers following acorn boom crops, known as mast years, mouse populations explode, and subsequently so do Lyme disease, babesiosis, and anaplasmosis. Deer. After experiencing a dramatic decrease in population during the 1800s due to deforestation, unregulated hunting, and the invention of the repeating rifle, efforts were made in the early 20th century to reintroduce the white-tailed deer back into areas of the eastern United States. At the same time, vast areas of land that had been cleared by the shipbuilding industry were slowly returning to forest, and during the intermediate stage, the terrain was dominated by young, second-growth woodlands that provided a favorable habitat for both ticks and deer. By this time, several of the deer's natural predators, particularly wolves and cougars, and also the screwworm, had been almost wiped out in the eastern woodlands. All of these factors came together to create a mushrooming overabundance in the deer population, which we are still living in today. And where there are a lot of deer, there is a lot of Lyme disease. Opossums. Opossums are excellent killers of larval ticks because they're very good groomers, and they're also not very good hosts for Lyme disease bacteria. Research suggests that their immune system is fairly effective at fighting off Lyme disease. They don't tend to transmit it well either, with one study showing only 3% of ticks that attached to infected possums picked up Lyme bacteria from them. Squirrels come in second in this area with a 15% transmission rate. Foxes. Foxes are predators of small mammals such as the white-footed mouse, which in turn are hosts of Lyme disease. Therefore, it's been noted that even in areas with an abundance of infected ticks, when foxes are part of the equation, there is low incidence of Lyme disease. Coyotes. Coyotes can suppress smaller predators like foxes and opossums. In places where coyote populations have been skyrocketing, fox populations have been plummeting. Areas that have lots of coyotes and few foxes have high rates of Lyme disease incidence in humans. Guinea fowl. Originally from Africa and widely domesticated around the world, guinea fowl fall into the same order as turkeys, chickens, and quail. However, they are more disease-resistant than chickens. They have become popular in Lyme epidemic areas because they can consume 4,000 to 5,000 ticks in a single day. A 1992 study found a highly significant difference in tick presence in response to guinea fowl activity. They also consume grasshoppers, fleas, ants, crickets, stink bugs, caterpillars, and snakes. I hope it's become clear by looking at the individual players in this story that our ecosystem is closely interconnected. When one species population dies out or explodes, there are problems. Each member of the system is important and helps to keep the whole in balance. There are natural ebbs and flows in population densities based on food availability and other factors, but these can be and have been taken to extremes by careless behavior on the part of humans. In order to protect our own interests, we tend to see predatory animals, especially those that can directly kill us, as a problem to be eliminated. Even smaller pests like foxes and opossums often become the object of our disgust as they steal from our gardens and hen houses. But if we aren't careful, if we don't respect the diversity of the biome and what each member contributes, we can end up with gigantic problems like a Lyme disease epidemic. I've linked a video in the description that shows what happens when wolves were reintroduced to Yellowstone National Park. I remember being skeptical about this decision, but boy was I wrong. The re-emergence of just this one disappeared species helped to return so many aspects of the park to harmony, even affecting the direction of the rivers. I realized that reintroducing mountain lions, bears, and wolves into highly populated areas may not be a viable solution. But if the natural predators have been removed from the equation, humans need to step up and work to keep vermin populations from getting out of control. It's also important that we don't resort to blanket killing solutions. This is a lesson we Limeys are very familiar with, as we know from our own bodies that when we indiscriminately exterminate all bacteria possible, we end up with candida overgrowth and digestive problems. We also know from the world of mold avoidance that some of the most dangerous outdoor toxic molds grow in areas where blanket solutions like fire retardation and weed pesticides are applied. By seeing good bacteria as a friend, or recognizing that fire may help to control mold overgrowth, or respecting the part that predators play in the ecosystem, we can hopefully find better ways of restoring our biome to harmony and controlling harmful diseases like Lyme. Let's look at some of the ways we can work together against Lyme disease. Solutions fall into 3 basic categories: personal level, family and home level, and community level. On a personal level, we can work to protect ourselves from Lyme disease by avoiding getting bitten by ticks. An easy and fairly effective way to do this is to spray your shoes with an insect repellent containing 20 to 30% DEET or 20% picaridin. Some prefer to use natural solutions, but these have been shown to be less effective than chemically based formulas. Those of us who already have Lyme disease should seek treatment for our own sakes and to avoid transmitting the disease to others. Check out my other videos for what's worked for me. On a family or home level, we can contribute to controlling mouse and deer populations which are currently too high, and encouraging opossum and fox populations which are currently too low. We can plant flora that kill or repel ticks, such as balsam fir and lemongrass, and eradicate the invasive Japanese barberry, which is a notorious tick haven. We can make sure to collar our pets with flea and tick collars. We can consider using acaricide applications on our lawns, preferably those that are safe for us and our pets. Some promising research has been done into garlic-based solutions, which could be much better for the environment long-term than chemical-based solutions. We may even consider letting a few guinea fowl patrol our perimeters where appropriate. Some suggest putting up fencing around the yard to keep deer out, but ultimately we should understand that simply isolating ourselves from the problem through repellent measures is not going to solve it. That's why we also need to come up with solutions on a community level. For some reason, mosquito control is usually handled by county or state health departments, while tick control is not. This is something that we may need to change if we want to see a real and lasting difference. Maybe we Limeys are the ones who need to lead the way to raise awareness and make this happen. Did you know that starting in 1906, a highly effective collaborative effort between beef producers and state and federal agencies called the Cattle Fever Tick Eradication Program succeeded in largely eradicating ticks and Texas cattle fever from the United States by 1943? If it was possible then, I think we can all agree it's possible now with our improved technology. In fact, there are a lot of amazing ideas that creative minds have come up with and researched and which hold a lot of promise. Let's take a look at a few of them. Community-wide acaricide treatment. If we really want to reduce tick populations in a meaningful way, we need to work together. However, concerns about the environmental effects of chemical acaricides have made residents apprehensive about applying them on a community-wide basis. Some successful research has been done in Western Connecticut into using plant-based acaricides. Deer eradication, treatment, and protection. On Monhegan Island, Maine, the white-tailed deer was completely eradicated between 1999 and 2000. 3 years later, no mature I. scapularis ticks could be found on rodents there. While I think we can all agree that wiping out or endangering an entire species is something that we would never want to do, the example of Monhegan Island shows us that by removing deer from the equation, at least temporarily, can help get the tick population under control. Another option is to treat the deer for disease, but this presents complicated logistical and practical issues, as all of us with Lyme disease know how difficult it is to treat ourselves. One promising option is an automatic collaring device, patented in 1999, which can attach insecticide-saturated collars to wild deer using a 4-poster apparatus at bait stations. The collars can then be remotely detached after their effectiveness wears off. Mouse insecticide application and vaccination. Passive application of the acaricide fipronil to mice using tube-shaped bait boxes has been shown to significantly reduce tick populations. Another study showed that by distributing an oral Lyme vaccine to mice by means of a tasty kibble helped significantly reduce the number of infected ticks, while the number skyrocketed in nearby untreated areas. I recently heard an idea postulated for distributing contraceptives to rats in order to control rat overpopulation and spread of disease. However, we need to consider how such measures may have an impact further up the food chain, and be careful not to be overzealous in our control measures and thereby create new problems for ourselves and future generations. Augmentative Biocontrol via Metarhizium and anisopliae. Some work has been done looking into utilizing this native fungus, which attacks ticks under some circumstances and can compromise their health, body condition, and reproductive output even when it doesn't kill them. This fungus is a natural enemy of ticks, and the project consists in increasing the probability of contact between ticks and the fungus. These are just some of the ideas that have been thought up, tested, and implemented in recent years. I hope that watching this video will inspire some to look into them more closely, or to come up with new ones. But remember, if we want to come up with ideas that work and won't just cause more problems for ourselves and future generations, we need to have a fundamental understanding of how our environment functions. We need to think about all the moving components and how they work together in harmony. And in order to do that, we don't just need book learning. We need to reacquaint ourselves with nature by spending time in it.